Hello everyone. Am I audible to all of you? Hello, Kunal sir. A very good morning to all dignitaries, guests and dear students. With a great joy and immense exhalation, I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all presented here for online guest lecture organized by Department of Botany, BB Arts, NB Commerce and BP Science College, Digras. Today we are here for the guest lecture of researcher and assistant professor Mr. Kunal B. Dhokne, Department of Botany, Shri Vittal Rukmini College, Sauna, Taluka Mahagaon, District Yotma. I request to Honorable Dr. M.M. Dhore sir, Head of the Department of Botany, to occupy a seat of chairperson for today's program. I invite today's guest and resource person to occupy a distinguished chair. I also request to the organizing secretary, Dr. S.M. Devastare sir, to have a seat. I am profusely elated to take an opportunity to introduce our guest and research person of today's online guest lecture, Professor Kunal B. Dhokne. He is a research scholar and assistant professor in botany at Sri Vittal Rukmini College, Sauna, Taluka Mahagaon, District, Yotmal. Besides, he is currently doing his doctoral research in area of salinity stress-induced change in photosynthetic apparatus and thylakoid organization in Pisum sativa. He graduated from Nagpur University with major subject botany and masters in plant sciences from Central University of Hyderabad. Also cracked CSIR NET JRF, DPT JRF and GATE exams. He was selected for Japan Asia Youth Exchange Program in Sciences administered by Japan Science and Technology Agency at Okayama 2018. Before moving towards our guest lecture, I am pleased to invite our today's chairperson of program, Honorable Dr. M.M. Dhore sir, for their presidential address.
Good morning to everyone. Today, Department of Botany, BB Arts, NB Commerce and BP Science College, Digras, organizes a guest lecture of a well academician and a very clever person, Dr. Professor Kunal Dhokne, Assistant Professor, Vittal Rukmini Mahavidyalaya, Sauna. He did his research in a plant physiology. I am very pleased and congratulates the organizers to give me an opportunity to as a chairperson. I wish all students of BSc final and MSc having a opportunity to listen the Kunal Dhokne sir, and his topic is research current scenario in plant physiology, and this topic is very useful to the students of BSc final and MSc 2 students. Wish all the best to the organizers, Dr. S.M. Devastade sir and Professor Gadkar sir. Thank you very much.
Now, we request our distinguished chief guest to address the students and give their precious inputs to our dear students who are seeking to be like him and introduce them about the research trends in major field of botany, that is plant physiology. Kunal Dhokne sir, you can.
Okay. Yeah. I'm audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Is it okay. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much, sir,
You
for
are
your
audible.
kind introduction. And before starting presentation, I would like to express my warm, warm thanks to the chairperson of this program, Mr. Dhore, Dr. Dhore sir. And also, I would like to thanks to the organizing committee, Devastare sir. And finally, I would like to thank the Pranav sir, those are given my kind introduction. Thank you very much, sir, for introduction. So let's get started without wasting our time. Okay. So let me share my screen. Just Pranav sir told me in this presentation maybe the zoologist, botanist student, MSc botanist student will be present. So I'm very like pleased and surprised to give the presentation in front of them. So Pranav sir, I'm unable to share the screen.
ओके सर, सेटिंग करत आहो सर, 1 मिनिट.
Hello.
Okay, Dokne sir, you can
Okay,
share
yeah,
your
fine,
screen.
fine. Just a minute. So hello guys, can you see the slide? Is this visible to everyone? This slide?
हो सर,
Right?
slide दिसत नाही.
Slide दिसत नाहीये?
फोल्डर आले.
फोल्डर दिसत आहे.
एक मिनिट.
स्क्रीन शेअर करा सर, स्क्रीन.
या राइट है स्क्रीन शेयर के लिए. ठीक है सर, दिसते आता है.
हाँ, यस सर, यस.
Okay, right, fine. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so as you see, the title of this presentation is a major research field in biological science and its current research scenario. Okay, in plant physiology, right? So before the talk about the current research field, I would like to the share few word about research. Okay, so maybe people might be not known about research because they are belong to BSc, or some of the people they knows okay what is a research exactly. Okay, so as per my view, what is research? As per my view, the research is nothing but the finding out the truth. Okay, that we don't know, right? So research is like comprised field. Okay, it is contain the we can say the references. Okay, the data analysis or whatever output we get, that's we called as research, right? As per my view, okay, research is nothing but a find out truth that don't know. So uh, so what is discovery? Okay, discovery is nothing but equivalent to research, right? So whatever data we generate, whatever data we analyze, okay, that is lead to the discovery, right? So discovery, for example, the as Watson and Crick, they discover double helix structure of DNA, okay, because of they have the previous data, okay, known data they have, on the basis of they discover the double helix structure of DNA, right? So that's a discovery, the discovery of penicillin, okay, that's we call that discovery. And what is difference between discovery and invention, that also we have to know, right? The invention, that's we can say the technique that never before existence, okay, that we come to know, that we come to society, that's we call the invention. Like here the picture, the picture of light, that's invention. The mobile, that is invention. Fan, invention, okay, that all are invention, okay. And discovery and invention has a like little bit different. We have research, okay, research lead to the discovery and discovery lead to the invention, okay. Because why I'm like talking about this, because our topic is like particularly based on research, okay. So this terminology you have to know. Might be BSc student, they don't know, but MSc student have to know this, okay. So so let's talk about biological science, okay. So what is biological science? The biological science nothing but the pure biology, okay. So they have given the different name, okay. The biological science have the number of branches, more than 60 plus branches we have in biological science. We can say the anatomy, like molecular biology, biochemistry, biotechnology, okay. They have like more than 60 plus branches we have in biological science. But today what we are going to talk about, we are going to talk about the two major field of biological science. One is a microbiology, okay, and second is a plant physiology, okay. And in that also, in microbiology, we are going to touch the very the hotspot topic of the decade, okay. The first one is a multi-drug resistant organism, okay. Maybe the people know the what is a multi-drug resistant bacteria, okay. As per title say, the multi-drug resistant organism, okay. You can analyze, okay, what is a multi-drugs. These are picture, you can say this is picture of organism, this whole picture having the organism, different kind of microbiology, right? Microorganism, here is the drugs, right? So this is organism, okay, and this is drug. Now this organism resistant to particular drugs, that we called as multi-drug resistance, right? Let's suppose we have the one bacteria, okay. After some time it becomes the resistant to that drugs, okay. Means that drugs not useful to kill that bacteria, that organism, right? That's we called as multi-drug resistant organism. And why this organism is the biggest threat to the world, that I'm going to explain in our next slide, right? So do you know who is Alexander Fleming? Might be people know. Most of the people know who is Alexander Fleming. Okay, he discovered the first antibiotic that's called as penicillin, right? And maybe people know the story behind this discovery of the penicillin, right? So he accidentally discovered the penicillin, okay, and he observed that the penicillin, this fungus, okay, that secrete some the chemical, okay, that's they secrete some chemical and that kill the streptococcus bacteria, okay, the streptococcus organism. And he find out what that chemical have the property, which chemical what the property that chemical have to kill that particular organism, okay. So that he find out, okay, and he further research that, and he put out the penicillin G. They have the polymer chain, this compound that is able to kill the streptococcus. Okay, and after that, the scientists use to treat the number of disease related to the streptococcus, right? And that's what that penicillin as a considered as a first antibiotic. Okay, and maybe people know this picture in 2018-19. This is picture is the most viral picture of scientific community. Okay, I will explain in brief here. Okay, let's suppose this is antibiotic. Okay, in 2009, this antibiotic has able to kill the organism. We can say the zone of inhibition here. Okay, the zone of inhibition. It means this how the antibiotic has a potential to kill the bacteria up to here. Okay, and now what what happened? Okay, what happened to these bacteria? They are now become resistant to this particular antibiotic. Okay, in only 10 area of period. Okay, so some changes happen in microorganism. Okay, that is become resistant to that particular that particular antibiotic. Okay, so we have to find out what kind of changes, okay, they have adapted their cell, okay, to become resistant to the particular the antibiotic. So I will explain this story also. Okay, so now you can see here, in our traditional culture we used to burn the that neem leaf as a mosquito repellent. Okay, but what happened now, is this useful now to repel the mosquito? No. Okay, because they have adapted themselves, okay, to that neem content that used to kill the mosquito before. So now if you see the scenario from the last few decades, this mosquito has become the resistant to these drugs. Okay, so major you can say the major reason behind to become resistant is overuse of doses of particular antibiotic. Even when we go to a hospital, the whatever doctor prescribe us to take the medicine, okay, that we have to take at a full strength. Okay, if you don't take full strength medicine, after some time the microorganism that we have, okay, that becomes resistant to the particular microorganism. So we have to take care of while taking medicine also. We should not just skip any doses of medicine. Okay, if you skip any doses of medicine, might be that microorganism become resistant to next turn. Okay, so we have to take care of this thing. So we need to find alternative way. Okay, we need to find out the discovery. Okay, we need to find out the some antibiotic that should means that have the property to kill the microorganism. I will give this small example. The gonorrhea disease is caused by Neisseria gonorrheum. Okay, that is sexual transmitted disease. In 1936, the acetamide is antibiotic that is used to kill or treat the gonorrhea. After some decay, that gonorrhea, that Neisseria gonorrhea, that microorganism become resistant to the acetamide. So we need to find out some alternative for that. So scientists find out the alternative as a penicillin. Okay, so some around 10 years penicillin was useful to treat the gonorrheum disease. Okay, so after that, in just 8 or 10 years, that gonorrhean that bacteria also become resistant to that penicillin. Okay, so now scientists don't have any way to treat the gonorrheum. We need to find out some antibiotic, okay, novel antibiotic that going to kill that particular microorganism. Okay, so what is our way to find out the antibiotic? Traditional way. If you go to traditional way, this is culture the unculturable bacteria. Okay, if you culture more bacteria, we know about the bacteria property, what bacteria secret. Okay, and we can find out the number of antibiotics from that, and we can use to treat the disease. Okay, so this is a traditional way. This is traditional way we have. Okay, this is traditional we have in lab. What we have to take the sample from the environment, and we have to stick or we have to spread in petri plate. Okay, and whatever colony we get, okay, we have to isolate that bacteria, we have to study that bacteria, and we have to know what bacteria, what chemical that bacteria secrete, and we have to find out the antibiotics. Okay, but there is one drawback here. Okay, let's suppose if you take the culture from the environment, let's suppose you take the sample from soil, and if you strict on a petri plates, okay, so we'll get the only few colony, maybe one or two colony of microorganism we get. But do you think that sample have only one or two colony? No, maybe that sample have the hundred of colony of microorganism, okay, but we are able to get only few colony. But what happened in that period, from shifting from the environment to the petri plate, the 90% of organism they are going to killed. What is happening? Okay, so we need to study what is happening in that period only. From if you take the culture from environment as you culture in the lab condition, because this microorganism they need some kind of communication between bacteria to bacteria, okay, they need some favorable environment, they need some that niches, okay, that bacteria live there, okay, but we can't provide that condition to the lab here, right? So what happened in 2070, okay, this scientist, okay, Epstein, Slava Epstein from Northern Eastern University, he have developed a very fine technology, okay, that we call a iChip. iChip technology he developed, okay. What he did here, okay, and this technology now patent. Might be this scientist get Nobel Prize in next few years, okay. As I thought, because he have like invent, he have discovered the like more than 10 antibiotic in only 3 years, okay. So what now? What this technology have, okay, actually they used to collect the organism, okay, from the environment, like this organism, and this chip have the 96 well plate. Here you can see the small pore we have here, and they used to dilute this sample and they used to place the dilute sample here in this 96 well plate, right? And they have to seal this 96 well plate with fine membrane, and maybe this membrane have the pore size 0.2 micron, okay, micron pore size they have, and they have to place another strip, and they make the sandwich of that strip, and they used to throw this sandwich to the again to that particular environment. Here see, they have make the sandwich of this strip, and they have again thrown this strip to the particular environment. So what they get, they will get the favorable environment as well as lab condition. So whatever the minimum essential media they have put in this 96 well plate as well as the diluted sample of microorganism, and they again they place to the environment. So what they get, they will get the environmental condition as well as the lab condition, both condition they will get, and they try to adapt their self. Okay, let's suppose I will give a simple example. Let's suppose if you are living in Digras, okay, and suddenly you went to Delhi, is this favorable condition for you? No. At least you take a few day to adapt this condition. But in case of microorganism, it doesn't exist, okay. If you take from the soil to lab, 90% of microorganisms they will die, only few percent of microorganisms they will survive, okay, because they are lower organisms. We have the different metabolism, they have different metabolism, right? So we need to have the synergistic approach to find out, okay, culture this unculturable bacteria, okay. And because of the this technology, it become the revolution in field of culturing the uncultured bacteria, and they have introducing the number of antibiotic, okay, to the medical field. So this is the first topic, okay, and now we come to our major topic, that is the plant physiology, okay. Here we can see the title, efficient biosequestration of rising the CO2 concentration, okay, and need to meet the global hunger. Here I have made the two statement, okay. The biosequestration, what does it mean by biosequestration? Anybody know? Maybe a number of people know biosequestration because they are related to the plant physiology or botany. So biosequestration is mean the accumulation of the carbon in form of uh, carbonic ion in a plant, okay. Sequestration, okay, accumulation, sequestration is mean accumulation, okay. So we have to accumulate this rising CO2, okay, in this century, okay. So and find out and meet the global hunger, okay. So how we are going to meet the global hunger? By the by sequestration of the CO2 in plant. Okay, so I'm going to explain in next few slides. So let's suppose, uh, so uh, before the talking about biosequestration, I would like to present some data. Okay, data of the rising carbon, rising CO2 from the last 10th century. Okay, about before we can say before the ice age. Okay, before the ice age, or the atmospheric CO2 concentration was around 180 200 part per million. Okay, up to the finish of ice age, it was around 280 part per million. Let's suppose part per million is unit of uh, the atmospheric CO2 to measure the atmospheric CO2. Okay, when industrial revolution start itself, the concentration of atmospheric CO2 was around 280 part per million. Okay, now industry evolution start in 18th century, right? Now we are in 20th century. Almost 20 year of the period has been passed. Okay, and now the current situation of the atmospheric CO2 is a 400 part per million, right? And most of the plant, most of the crop plant, most of the tree plant, most of the grasses has been adapted to the only 300 part per million of CO2, because they are getting 300 of from 200 300 part per million from the, we can say, the 20th century. More than 20th century they have adapted to this atmospheric CO2, but in only 2 century it has become the double, approximately double. It has raised to 400 part per million. Now the situation is that now this rising CO2 uh, maybe get adapted to the plant. No. Okay, because this is sudden change, this is sudden change happening in atmospheric CO2 concentration, right? And atmospheric CO2 concentration have the property to grab the heat. Okay, to grab the infrared radiation. That infrared radiation, if they grab the infrared radiation, what happens? The earth temperature will go rise, earth temperature go rise. Then what will happen? It will be show the greenhouse effect, right? It show the greenhouse effect. That will be a major change in atmosphere. Okay, the atmospheric the stress environment that they will create because of the global warming. Stress environment directly affect to the plant health, right? Plant health, plant physiology. Okay, so here and here also I have mentioned the population of earth. Okay, the population of earth from the 17th century to the 20th century has been gradually increased. Okay, but in only like we can say the from 1900 to 200 has been dramatically increase in a population rate, we can say. Okay, as per the UNESCO report, we are unable, hello, as per UNESCO report suggests that we are unable to meet the global 100 index. Okay, whatever global index we have right now, we are unable to feed the total unable to feed the total population of the world. Only 50% of population we are going to feed right now. More than 800 billion of population we are unable to feed. So we have to cope up this condition and we have to feed the entire world, right? So we have to need some synergistic approach to cope up this condition. We have to find out some alternative way to make the plant more efficient to form the food, right? So again, I will better explain from this slide. Let's suppose we have the 30% land on earth, right? It's equivalent to the 15 billion hectares. Hmm? From that, 10% of land is arable land. We right now we have that is equivalent to the 1.5 billion India, and this 1.5 billion hectare of land used for a timber fiber, for production of timber, food and feed. Okay, and if you calculate the today's population, okay, to the 10% of land right now we have, so every person will get 0.2 hectare per land. Okay, each person. So this 0.2 hectare of land is sufficient to form the food for one person for entire year? No. So food security is a forbidden challenge right now we are facing. The citizen of the world must work together for hunger-free and more peaceful world using the best conventional crop technology and best biotechnology policy to meet the meet the global hunger, right? So here, so what is the alternative way right now we have to make the leaf more photosynthetically efficient. Okay, so how can we make the leaf more photosynthetically efficient? As you know, the photosynthesis the major biophysical reaction right now we have in a plant, right? So the photosynthesis generally distributed in light reaction and dark reaction. Okay, light reaction, what is happening? Light reaction, okay, they capture the light from sun, okay, and they make the energy in simple way, right? Energy in form of the ATP and NADPH2, and that ATP and NADPH2 is used for fixation of the CO2, right? So here we can see the CO2 and H2, H2 and light goes, and carbohydrate and O2 it will be produced, okay, in form of the biomass, bioenergy and food and fuel, right? So if we study the normal pattern of the photosynthetic process, okay, the plant productivity is positively correlated to carbon metabolism. Okay. What is carbon metabolism? It will be the directly lead to the formation of the end product of the photosynthesis. Okay, so carbon metabolism key role play the key role here. Okay, and CO2 and O2 is a compared to each other to settling a plant, right? So here, as you know, the property of Rubisco, okay, they have the bifunctional property, right? Okay, they can they can capture the CO2 as well as O2. As we know, the enzyme many enzyme, they have the compete for the similar substances. Okay, like here also Rubisco have the same property, they compete for the O2. If you place the more CO2 in vicinity of Rubisco, they capture the CO2. If you place the more O2 in vicinity of Rubisco, they will take the O2, not CO2. Okay, so it's a bifunctional enzyme. Okay, so we have to keep in mind also the CO2 as well as O2, they are compared to each other, and we have to design our experiment according to that. Okay, so and third point, plant will be happy to have the more CO2 in atmosphere, but the whatever present concentration we have, it have the around like as I told, the 400 part per million. Okay, that is less than required. Okay, but in in the end of this century, according to data we have, the scientists predicted that the atmospheric CO2 concentration maybe go rise to around 800 part per million. Okay, that is too much atmospheric concentration. Okay, right? So we need to make the plant more efficient to sequester the CO2. Okay, as per rising CO2 concentration we have predict up to the end of this century, right? So so as we know, the atmospheric CO2 concentration going raised to increase day by day, and it will be reached to 800 part per million as per data right now we have. Okay, so the scientists at University of Hyderabad itself in my lab, okay, what they did, okay, they have the plan the very beautiful experiment. Okay, so here we have the open top chamber. Okay, open top chamber, it's like chamber. Okay, they will open from the area surface. Okay, and they have closed from the all the four side. Okay, and they have grown the genilla plant. Okay, the genilium plant there. Okay, so genilium plant is generally used to to cultivate for wood production. Okay, that wood is very useful for making fiber or pulp the paper, or we can say the ply industry. They have the major demand in ply industry, this plant. Okay, so they grown this plant in open top chamber. Okay, and they have maintained their humidity, atmospheric CO2, and they have maintained two chamber. In one chamber they have given the whatever concentration we have, the atmospheric CO2, they have given a 400 part per million. Okay, that is ambient, the ambient CO2 condition they have given. And next chamber they have given the elevated CO2 condition. Elevated CO2
Sir,
condition
sorry
is
to
mean
interrupt. There are 5 minutes are remaining for ending this meeting.
okay, sir. Okay, I will try to finish as possible. So in elevated CO2 condition, they have given the around 500, 550 or 600 atmospheric CO2. And what they have observed here, they have observed here in elevated CO2 condition, they have observed more growth as compared to the ambient CO2 condition, right? So we can see here, this is a ambient CO2 condition. That means around 400 part per million of CO2, and this is around 550 part per million of CO2 or 600 part per million of CO2. So in rising CO2 condition, okay, if you give the more elevated CO2 condition, what happened? They make the change and they sequestrate the more CO2, and they directly lead to the carbon metabolism, right? And here we can see here in 400 part per million the growth of root. Here we can easily see, and here in a elevated CO2 condition have the more root growth here. Okay, so after that they have seen whether the elevated CO2 condition will be affect the light reaction. Okay, and they observe and they conclude that yeah, the elevated CO2 condition directly affected to light reaction. You can see here the ambient it means normal condition, and elevated more than 500 part per million. Okay, so this is absorb light. Okay, whatever light absorbed by the light reaction center. Okay, that means PS1 PS2 can say the chlorophyll pigment. Okay, this is reaction center we have. This is reaction center we have. So in elevated CO2 condition, they have found that the dissipation light means reflection of light here is a more. Okay, and transport of electron is a less as compared to the elevated CO2 condition. We can see in elevated CO2 condition there is a more transfer of electron. That means generation of the energy is a more ATP and NADPH2, right? And in case of the ambient CO2 condition is a less as compared to the elevated CO2 condition. So we can conclude that the rising CO2 condition is directly lead to the increase of the food product, means carbon metabolism. We can directly say. Okay, so here after that what they have did, they have just did the protomic analysis. Okay, protomic analysis. The protomic analysis is very essential because whatever content means plant have, okay, the enzyme, okay, because they are enzyme directly involved in a reaction of the photosynthesis. So we need to find out the which enzyme has the have the up regulation or down regulation. So they have did the 2D gel electrophoresis here. Okay, you can see, and they have the pick up the some spot here in ambient condition and elevated CO2 condition. So they have the find out the major key enzyme, carbonic anhydrate, Rubisco activase, okay, Rubisco large subunit, okay, phosphoglycerol kinase and phosphorubisco kinase. They have increase, okay, half-fold increase of this protein. You can see the ambient CO2 condition and elevated CO condition. You can directly see the increase in the major enzyme, that is the key enzyme in photosynthesis reaction. Okay, so we can predict that rising CO2 condition is directly proportional to the increase of the biomass of the plant. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have to balance here. Okay, we have to balance atmospheric CO2 that is not in our hand. Okay, but this atmospheric CO2 directly proportional to the plant growth. So we are now in a trauma right now. Okay, so high atmospheric CO2 is very harmful for humankind, but it is a beneficial for plant growth. Okay, so we have to maintain that thing. Okay, and this is the biggest question right now we have here. So so other than biosequestration, what is progression in plant physiology here in field of the photosynthesis? So we can see the type of chloroplastic photorespiration bypass the aerobasis, increase the photosynthesis and biomass, right? So as we know, in a photorespiration, okay, there will be a loss of the CO2, right? And it will reduce the plant yield up to 50% or 50% or 20%. It will reduce the so here the scientists what they did, okay,